Hey folks, it's David back again with another video. Hope you're all doing well. It is the 18th of January, Sunday night, as I make my way away from the Grand in D'Albertville, Mississippi. And boy, oh boy, what in the world did I just watch? Night Patrol. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this will definitely be the review that I can get done on the way home and be completely talked out about it and satisfied without having to go back and talk about all the stuff I appreciated. I think I can get it all done on my hour-long drive home. Yes, wow. Let me just get on with it. Night Patrol, starring Justin Long and some people I've never seen before. Was that woman who played the mother of the protagonist Leslie Jones, or was it, am I mistaken her for somebody else? I don't know. I'll have to verify that, and that'll be the one thing I add in after the fact on my little review video I make here. Okay, here goes. Why in the world did I even just watch this crazy movie? I mean, my goodness, what did I just watch? By the way, sorry about the air, but it's like 30 something degrees as I stepped out of the theater. I didn't bring a coat, so I'm gonna be heating this bad boy up on the way home. So I'll just talk over the noise of the fan and the heater going. Okay, here goes. Why did I see this movie? This was attempt number 2 of me trying to give Justin Long another chance because I enjoyed Barbarian so much. I was hoping that if he's doing these little off the beaten path horror movies like what was the name of the movie that I saw a couple months back? Coyotes. A little story told in the backdrop of the LA fires, which was rather interesting. I wasn't very far into watching Night Patrol tonight when I realized, you know what? I think that is the better movie as far as what Justin Long has to do, for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed the character of A.J. Goodman so much, as evil, self-centered as he was. It was just so entertaining to me. I still can't get over how good I thought Barbarian was. But this movie was like toward the end right there, where some stuff was finally happening in the flick, and we're kind of getting somewhere, or are we? We don't really know. This really is a B horror movie, and again, it was just me trying to find another hidden gem, hoping that Justin Long, who I didn't really even think of as far as a draw for me to go and watch his movies. I didn't really think of Justin Long at all these days until I saw Barbarian. And I thought, you know what? It just kind of sucked me in. But I'm over that now. I won't be watching any more movies just because I'm hoping for another Justin Long as A.J. Goodman in Barbarian performance. It's just too tedious at this point. I'm not going to say the movie was a total bomb, that is Night Patrol that I just watched, but it just wasn't it wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be. It was another movie, and this is what I started to say a moment ago, about the themes are anti-colonialism, anti-evil racist white man encroaching on the hood, race war battle type stuff, and some of it can make for a good story. Some of it's entertaining. I didn't walk out, even though there was one point toward the end where I was like, I think I could walk out right now and just like, let me go and get an early start on my drive home from my failed attempt to give this movie a shot. So yeah, I didn't hate the flick, but at the same time, this isn't one that I would have brought my folks to, obviously. I just wanted to give it a shot, just because I read the synopsis of the movie as being like a potential vampire story where there's a cop who uncovers a sinister, supernatural force, like something's rotten in the state of Denmark kind of a thing, as far as something's encroaching on the neighborhood where he grew up. Something foul afoot, you might say. I know I'm not saying it right, but the synopsis of the movie when I originally read it, because I didn't even watch a trailer for this, I don't think. I just thought, Justin Long, another little off the beaten path horror movie, and I thought, hey, maybe it's another Barbarian type film. Nah, this was very B horror movie-ish in my opinion, and it was about like I don't know, a bad Tales from the Hood type thing. Anyway, let me get this thought out that I finally thought, you know what, this might be the best thing I can say about this movie. It came to me right toward the end, within the last 10 minutes of the movie. I thought, you know what, if only there had been more music, if music had been one of the big themes of this movie, it might have made for a better Sinners movie. Because I remember when I watched Sinners at the Grand in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, that music and intergenerational, like ancestral powers that live through music, that was a big theme in that movie. And I just thought, you know what, in more of a modern, current day situation where in this film they literally use the police. There's literally a guy who he's with the Crips, the gang, and he's the leader of their little sub gang. They go through this thing where it looks like something that you've seen out of That 70s Show, or who knows how many gangbang shoot 'em up movies where where the camera just goes around the room. Well, this is like around the park. There's three people. There's the lady who I think is Leslie Jones, but I don't want to say that because if it's not her, I'm getting the name wrong. There's the leader of the game, and there's Wazi, who's the main protagonist, who lives through the nightmare of the night with the vampires. And the acting, all those evil white racist vampire guys, the acting was so horrible. I mean, the acting was just bad. And the acting was so bad in this movie, at least with the people from the hood, the Zulus. It was the movie was more centered on them and their story, their plight, their journey through the movie. They and the focus being on them as the protagonists, the people who have to overcome something in this story. Their acting, even though it wasn't a lot better in a lot of cases, it was still better than the evil vampires, because they were just the most one-dimensional. Like the evil white racist vampire crew, they were just the most one-dimensional, annoying things I've seen in a good long while. They're part of why I wanted to just get up and leave the movie, but I stuck it out. I stuck it out through the end, and yeah, it was really something. And for all my wanting to give Justin Long the benefit of the doubt as far as these movies that he's starring in, I just couldn't help but think, man, I think he's just taking a paycheck on these movies now. At least with Coyotes, he said, like off camera or something, like at least he's making that movie like having fun with his wife, who plays who stars in that movie also, Coyotes. It's more of a family overcoming something flick. It was, and I have to say that's the better movie than this, even though for what this movie is, it's about the plight of like an inner city young black man and the things he has to overcome, just set in an outrageous vampire filled, or even the Crip gang who you think they're going to kill him because they suspect that he got this sister of the head gang leaders killed, and they realized, no, it wasn't him, it was the cop. And right off the bat at the beginning of this movie, I realized, oh man, Justin Long is not the protagonist, the good guy I was hoping he would be in this thing. Because like I said, I didn't even watch the trailer. I just went into this movie cold, like completely unaware of anything, and sure enough, right off the bat, I realized, he's not the one who's discovering something's going on in the neighborhood he grew up in that's supernatural and sinister. No, it's this other young man who, he's the only, like, Wazi is the only, like, decent person in the movie. He's the one who doesn't think he can, he's like, like 30 years old or whatever, still living with his mother, down on his luck. He's a gang member but doesn't want to be a gang member. He's trying to get away from that. He has a love interest where the very beginning of the movie starts up with him like having a little romantic rendezvous with this young woman who he gives a ring to, and she's all like, "You are not proposing right now, are you?" And that whole thing of him just being shot down, I was like, man, this isn't going the way he wants it to. She's like, we're just having fun, right? We're just messing around. I mean, she says this thing where it's like, she says she's not completely shooting him down, but at the same time she is shooting him down. Like, I mean, it's just for fun, but I mean, we're serious, but it's not. She like wanted to have it both ways, but in the end she says, "You got to get up and get out of my car," because she just flat out told him she can't be seen with him, and it's that kind of a story. Then the cops roll up and shoot her in cold blood, Justin Long, and it's part of his initiation into, oh yeah, by the way, major spoilers. Obviously, I'll put my big spoiler alert up at the beginning of this movie. I mean, this video, just the way I do, because I always get into the spoilers on movies like this for whatever, for whatever it's worth, because it's like, now that I put this stuff into my brain watching this for the past hour and 45 minutes, I've got to get it all back out, because I can't be letting this stuff sit in my brain too long. I'll feel like I'm getting dumber or more hopeless. I mean, really. Ooh, the blue lights just came on. Hope they're not vampires. I wouldn't doubt it if they were. Just kidding. And this movie does such a good job, man, of just straight up poo-pooing the police. It's like, like literally, the African American, the captain, police captain, who is about to interrogate or get a statement from Wazzy. I think I'm getting his name wrong, but that's what I remember was. That's what I remember hearing again and again in the movie. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, but so many of these names I couldn't remember them, and so much of the movie was a blur. Anyways, he's got a spike, or like, it looks like in a movie where you see somebody who's just survived an explosion, but they had shrapnel shoot into him. He's got that hanging out of his rib cage over on the side, like a part of a spear or something, hanging out of him. He's like, "Man, I need help. I'm dying here." And you can tell the cop is not really caring much about him in the beginning of the movie. And he's like, "Man, I'm dying here." And the cop says, "Well, I want to give you medical attention, but I need you to sign something first." And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this is cold-blooded. They're having him sign something. This is what I thought. This isn't actually what happened. They're having him sign a confession or something for some crime, probably, framing him up just so he can get a doctor or something. Like, this is evil as all get out. But he bled on the paper. He's like, "Oh, you're getting blood all over it." And he took the paper from him and crumbled it up. And then, what was that transition? How did he say that? Where, oh yeah, he says, "I'm sure you would like to say something in your defense." And that's how the movie begins. Then we get on with, it's like maybe a couple days earlier is when all this started, and then it circles back to the end, which is the beginning scene, which was a neat way of doing this. It's one of the more creative things they did in this movie, apart from having that 70s show circle of how are we going to beat these vampires, because the whole Crypt gang don't know what they're dealing with. Oh, is it lizard people? Oh, no, man, it's not. No, man, it's the Illuminati. No, man, this is some Eastern mystic stuff. And I can't tell you how many times they said S-H-I-T or mother effer or my N-word all throughout the movie. It's like a third of the movie was profanity. Like the F word was, the MF word was like the glue that held all the other sentences together in this movie. And there's one character, he is the brother of Waz. He's a police officer, and he is the partner of Justin Long. And as I think about it now, I really don't like these kinds of movies as far as the the style of storytelling, because as I think about them riding along in their squad car now, it's like the movie was totally empty because they're both dead by the end of the movie. They get to know each other. They've been riding together for 3 months. Because of the way the movie opens with Justin Long's character straight up murdering this young woman, whether she was a suspected gang member, criminal, or not, to just execute her like that. He's already ruined in your mind in the movie as you're watching. Man, that's a bad guy. You're thinking right away, that's just a straight up villain. And he's riding around in this cop car with his partner. Is his partner also like that? Is he also in with the Night Patrol? Because the whole thing about Night Patrol is they're special, quote unquote. They're a special breed. They're doing something extra special or something like that. Like they're the elite of the elite. I just wish they had... you know what? I can't even make fun of any of the actors, any of them in this movie, because they literally did the best with what writing they were given and what screenplay they were given. And it breaks my heart, because it's like, while I don't want to say I hated this movie because it's a guilty pleasure, I sat through the whole thing and I'm like, what in the world is this? What is this, and where is this going? It's a B-movie horror. That's what it is. The way it ends and everything, but it's something in my heart still aches for these actors. That is like, surely you want to do something more. All of you, everybody who's in this movie, surely you want to do something more serious than whatever in the world this is. But this is the kind of movie that I'm sure it'll have a little bit of a cult following, maybe not a big one like Sinners. It won't get anything near the fanfare. Night Patrol won't get anything like the prestige, fanfare, and respect and love that Sinners got, but it's not that big of a movie. There's like no marketing for Night Patrol, whereas Sinners was like this movie that kind of caught fire. And again, it didn't have Night Patrol doesn't have the big musical element and to draw on the way Sinners did. And I know somebody might listen to this and say, man, it's a completely inappropriate comparison to even mention Night Patrol and Sinners in the same breath, because people love Sinners so much. Sinners is Sinners. It was a movie that is really devilish. My own sister asked me about that movie as we were driving along today. I kid you not. And I just told her what I thought of it, and that I wanted to know what the hubbub was about that movie, so that's the only reason I went to see it. But it was a clever movie in some of its stylistic points, whereas Night Patrol, it just kind of drew on like this hood culture and didn't really seem to be able to find itself as far as what the protagonists end up doing to protect themselves, to defend themselves, until the very end. And at the very end is when Waz's mother dies, and you have the full backstory of everybody by that point. The backstory of Justin Long's character, the freak out moment that happens like halfway through the movie, or maybe a third of the way through the movie, when he is reconciled, not even reconciled, not even reunited with his father, but the realization that his father's alive when he thought he was dead, and that his father is basically a vampire who is forcing him into this vampiric order so his father can have him continue this dynasty of royal vampiric blood that's a blessing to the earth, and all this flowery language that's just psycho. Well, by that point, you have everybody's backstory, including how Waz's father died, how his mother had killed him at the behest of the vampires when he cut out a line. He worked for them, and it's just such a sordid tale of the colonizers ruined us, and the white people against the black people, and the downtrodden black people, and how to overcome. And you got the one Crip guy. He was at least he was a consistently humorous character. All of his men, all of his gang member friends have all died when you get to this part of the movie. And when he suicides, he literally does the line, "F the police," and blows himself up and like 4 or 5 vampires. Whereas Justin Long just keeps on. Justin Long, his character, he has this line at the end where Waz is finally embracing what he has to do. You're dealing with a Zulu mother effer, and he has the full tribal garb on. And I'll give the movie this. The ending is actually fitting, and I'm not gonna. It's gonna sound bad or wrong if I say the ending is the best part, like it's finally over. No, because remember, movies like this and Sinners, it's about the struggle, right? And so the very last scene of this movie is after the police captain, who says he's not even a vampire, leads, when we get to the end, and he leads him into, he says, "Nah, I'm just going to throw you to the wolves." He puts him into this dark room, and it's the head vampire. It's Justin Long's vampire father. And he says, "And I would never soil the blood by having one of your people." And again, it's the racialized stuff. But sure enough, Waz still has the glowing lightsaber. I kid you not, when he was in his full tribal garb and he walks out to fight Justin Long, and Justin Long still trying to fight it. He's been struggling this whole time because his consciousness is still locked in his mind, and he doesn't want to do evil. He doesn't want to suck the blood out of these people. He tried to save one woman, but or spare one woman, but his dad possessed him and made him kill him, made him stab his own self and then drink her blood. It's a horrible, bloody vampire flick. It really is. But Justin Long's psycho crazy eyes and smile at the end when he actually had said the words, like, "No, I don't want to. I'm not like that." He says the words, "I'm one of the good ones." And you're just thinking, "I'm one of the good white people. I'm your friend." But then he has the psycho eyes, and it looks like something out of Smile as he gets up with blood all over his face, and he's all standing straight. It was, yes, I have to do my, I have to be what I am. I have to suck the blood out of these black people, is what the writers came just sort of saying. But then again, they had said it well enough throughout the whole movie. And one special effect that the movie finally has is that the way his horrible monster face opens up like something out of Dead Space, and he flies. I'm like, we get a neat little effect at the end where, let me start a little bit earlier. It was a tragic thing, and it actually got me going a little bit. I'm like, okay, this is the end. Waz is all alone now. His mother has died. They had a neat little moment. She's wounded from being cut by vampires, blood loss. They made it back home, but it's like she's dying, and she's been such a card, and by card I mean just quite the character throughout the movie. And the way she died, they had finally had a moment of like not hating one another, and that made it good at the end. As he's like, "Where's the stash at?" Because the vampires are outside. They're going to burn their apartment. They're all going to die, right? And they're the only 2 left. She says, "It's upstairs in the closet." He goes up there and he's like, "That's what I'm talking about." When he sees, it's like a heat-seeking missile or some explosives, like an RPG or something, in this big military carrying case or something. It's like there's some weapon of mass destruction or something, some super weapon that he can finally use to kill these vampires. And then when he drags it downstairs, he opens it up and he's like, you're there in the audience. Well, me and the other 2 people who watch this movie, maybe in the whole country, watch this movie, we realize it's not some super gun. it's just the Zulu tribe, that like the Demon Slayer official wardrobe, like this traditional. Like, are you gonna stop, guy? I wish he'll stop. He's like, what the? He's like, what is it? And you're freaking out because you're like, you are going. It's like when Harrison Ford in Temple of Doom says, "We are going to die." That's what you're thinking. It's like, what is this? This is just an ancient African dance around mask and some what do you call it? That you wear on your chest. It's the bamboo, whatever, and some feathery junk. It's like you need some cold steel. You need some explosive. But then again, these vampires are surviving everything that they're doing to them. Gunshots. I thought, oh well, that's the end of Justin Long vampire when his lower jaw got shot off. I'm like, he's dead. No, he got back up because they have this super healing ability. Even in Sinners, Cornbread should have healed up, but he didn't. But in this movie, they actually have the super healing. In the end, it's like nothing could beat the vampires except what she had said about, again, it's about embracing your native culture, your native tongue, your native everything, except they are still speaking perfect English in this movie. Well, hood English at any rate. And at the end, when Justin Long stands up and says, I have to embrace, he finally is reconciled with his father, hit with his whiteness, I dare say. And so he's going to kill this guy and be done with, what do they kept calling that their neighborhood? Man, what do they keep calling their home, their neighborhood? I'm sorry, I can't remember. But they're burning it all down. And literally, these vampires, they went in and they just killed everybody. All these people, poor people, black people, anybody who lived in this few square blocks of like this really poor neighborhood, mostly black people. I mean, you see like the night vision angle from the vampires, because it's that night when they go in and they're just hooking people up to this huge tank and just draining the blood out of people. But let me get to that ending scene, because this ending scene is everything. He slams that case that he thought had a weapon that could kill the vampires in it as they begin to burn the apartment down, and he just kind of sits on it. He's like, I can't do it. Can't do it. I'm not built for this stuff. And then he looks up at his mother and realizes that she's passed. And he's so alone at that point. One thing this movie does do well, because literally the movie had done such a good job of stressing the ethnic cleansing aspect of it, the genocidal rampage of the vampires against the Zulus. Or I'm just going to call them vampires because I don't know what they were, demonic, whatever. Only the, I kid you not, when Woz puts the African garb on and the glowing tip of the spear glows green, it looks just like the kryptonite out of the latest like Superman movies. And when he twirls it one time, it made the sound of a lightsaber, I kid you not. So they got every possible angle of what this weapon would look like and sound like down in this movie. Yeah. He's able to beat Justin Long in the end. And again, it's just tragic to me. I mean, I know there's a thought, a theory, a social belief behind this stuff of racialized fighting, black against white, white against black, the downtrodden black man pushed low by the corrupt, evil, vampiric white man. But it was just it was just horrible to watch, man. But the one thing that the movie does have within that theme is the struggle. And I actually ended up liking the way the film ended, because he still got this thing in him from when he fell out of the air with, that's Woz, with Justin Long after he defeated him. So that was the end of Justin Long Vampire. When the cop locks him in the forbidden, like the shed or the boiler room or whatever that dungeon looking room was in the end, and all of a sudden you see him alone with the head vampire, who was Justin Long's father. And when he says that one last racist insult of, "I would never sully the precious blood with your people," or whatever he says, he yanks that thing out of himself and up into his, through the bottom of his jaw. And I kid you not, the head vampire pops like a balloon, and you hear like a gunshot, like pow. It was that kind of dynamite sounding effect. And I thought, well, that was a pretty good I actually like that ending. But the thing is, now he's all that are left are like a dozen or so of the other cops. And when he put them in there, I thought, is this going to be like a play on words? Because when the captain, who is like the first cop you see at the beginning of the movie, and then the last one when he's interrogating him, sort of, and leading him down the hallway and explaining to him there were vampires here before the LAPD. LAPD and vampires are like one and the same. They can't. I mean, they really abuse the cops in this movie big time. I thought it was going to be like a play on words at the end, or not a play on words. What I mean is a neat little surprise, because so many things happen in this movie. You're just thinking, this is like a cartoon. This is so ridiculous. What's going to happen next? When he said, "No, I'm just going to throw you to the wolves and won't have to think about you no more," I actually thought there were going to be werewolves next in this movie, because the conversation between all the black Crips made me think, because they never could figure out what in the world they're dealing with in the supernatural, demonic, whatever. I thought, are going to be werewolves that he's going to have to deal with now? No, it was just the last of the vampires that were going to, he's like, "You ruined all my plans." But he sure enough killed him. But what I mean is, this movie really does like Down for the Struggle, and I mean like the struggle, that theme that's in several of these movies, especially like movies like this one and Sinners. The very last scene, the very last image you see before the credits start to roll, are him, Woz, with his glowing weapon that he finally has, what he needs, all that he needs to actually end these things. Like they'll be dead, like not existing anymore, dead. He's got it in his hands, like, "I'm gonna take on all you mother effers." He's like lunging at him, and they start to fight, and then it goes to black, and then the music starts up with some heavy rap, B word, N word, P word, rap music, and I just couldn't hang any longer. I'm like, well, I saw the movie, and that was a pretty good little ending considering all that we had watched up to that point. But what I liked about the ending, like I said, was that scene when it was a good effect. I got to give the movie this. It was a good scene when his mother had died, and there was like a tragic moment. I was actually getting kind of emotional when I looked at him. Like, there's no hope. Like, he's been pushed back. Everybody's dead. His mother's passed. He finally had the knowledge of everything that had happened. He's fully informed. It's like the hero's journey kind of a thing, where it's like, what's he going to do now? Is he just going to succumb to this and just die? Or will he at least fight for himself? Because there's literally nothing else for Woz to fight for. He goes outside. He tells Justin Long how, like, "You killed my girl, you killed my mother, you killed my father, you killed my brother, you killed everybody, killed all the Crips, and all this stuff." And except for the language and like the horrible style of a lot of the movie, when you get right down to the nitty gritty of the, like, the ending fight scene and a lot of the stuff, it really wasn't a terrible movie. The more I think about it, it was actually pretty good. Rated R. No child should ever watch this, obviously. But apart from that, I want to give it as many props as possible, because that ending scene where it's like he has no hope, and you just chuckled with yourself. I was laughing. I actually laughed out loud when he looked in that thing, thinking there's a weapon in there, a gun of some kind, and he sees the African tribal suit that you wear to go into battle against the paranormal, demonic parasite things, and slay evil, because his mother said it's about good versus evil. His expression, what he says, like, what is this? And he slams that thing shut, and the way he sits on that thing with the fire, the way the light was coming in through the outside, the glowing, because his home is burning down slowly from the outside, and his mother's passed, and he has his head in his hands, leaned over. It's like this is the end. It's like he's got nothing left. He's got nobody, and the hopelessness of it. But he still went out, and he was going to fight, and that's one of the last things his mother said, like, fight for yourself. So that was this movie. This movie actually, the more I think about it, it did a good job in the end of pulling that part off, because he was all alone in the end, and especially since the movie does tell you how this weapon, when she told him, you got to harness that SHIT, all of what you're feeling right now, and it glows green. I mean, it even looked like the Green Lantern ring. I mean, they had several things in this movie that will remind you like a superhero, like he becomes a superhero in the end when he pops the head vampire like a balloon in the end, and there's like a sound of a gunshot going, a pow, and he's just gone like a balloon. You realize he's finally got what he needs to slay his enemies. So that, the more I think about it, that last scene was, for what this story was, it pulled it off in the very end. Again, I went into this thinking, hey, maybe this will be another movie as good as Barbarian was, because it's got Justin Long in it, and even if it's not as good as Barbarian, maybe Justin Long will be as good as he was in Barbarian. But no, this was just a really bloody vampire flick that struggled to ultimately find its way, but I think it did in the end. It'll probably be like a hood classic or something. Anyways, I don't know what more I can say about the movie. I think I pretty much said everything. His brother's character, the more I think about it, it's just sad. His brother, he wanted to do the right thing. He kind of wanted to do it the right way, and yet the movie, because it's keeping to the theme of you can't fraternize with the colonial ways, with the white man's ways, the white man's police system, the white man's laws, he ultimately succumbed to he perished literally at the hands of a vampire, a white man who could not help but be a white man vampire. So yeah, there's all kind of good stuff like that in there too. So yeah, have fun if you watch the movie, but it's just a hoot. I guess it really was an entertaining flick. It's just, I wonder how many people watched it. I wanted to give it a try, like I said, but I might wait to upload this just to see, did anybody else besides me and those two other people watch this movie in this country? Everybody else is watching The Lord of the Rings, and I thought about watching that, but I can't relive the glory that was watching those three movies 20 years ago, even if they have extended it. I might check it out one day, but yeah, I just can't see myself sitting there for 4 hours. Not when I'm old enough now to where I got to use the restroom every 2 hours. Anyways, I guess that's all I've got for Night Patrol. It was a very gritty, intense little vampire flick with themes that I normally don't like to sit around and entertain, but with this one, I paid the money, and so I sat through it, and in the end, I'm glad I did. It was just a crazy flick. Anyways, that's all I got, folks. Maybe I will add a little something more before I upload my review here, but for now, that's all I got. I do thank you so much for listening to me, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Hey, you folks, it's David back again, just with a little bit more. And if you're wondering why it looks like I'm going a little bit faster and I'm a little bit higher as I drive, it's because I'm now in the semi-truck that I drive for a living. It is the next night, Monday night, as I add a little bit more to my review. I've just been thinking about that flick, Night Patrol, a little bit more today, and what I want to do after having listened to my own review audio that I made last night as I was driving home, I thought, you know what, the more I thought about the movie, I dare say the more I like it. Night Patrol, and again, I know I'm going to compare it to Sinners again because it's the most recent movie, anything similar that I can compare it to of movies that I've ever seen before. And because it is grittier and because it is carried on with the same themes of anti-colonialism and so on and so forth, but even harder than Sinners did, I believe, because you know how Sinners young Mr. Glover's character, I forget the name. I know there was Smoke and Stack, and I thought that was kind of a little too cutesy-poo in Sinners, and I got them mixed up as far as who was Smoke and who was Stack in that movie, Sinners. But you know how the one who doesn't become a vampire, I believe is the one who doesn't become a vampire, and how he has the shootout with the KKK, the local KKK, and he kills them all at the end of Sinners. Well, that's basically what I see in Night Patrol, and in particular at the end, the way our protagonist has basically become like an African anti-supernatural demon slayer superhero of a sort. And now he has his weapon, and he's doing what his mother told him, like harnessing that S-H-I-T, and how he can now kill the white demon or the vampires or whatever they finally decided that the bad guys are in Night Patrol, apart from ultra corrupt, murderous police officers. I admit I like the film, I believe, more so than Sinners, and I don't really like Sinners. I'm not really saying that I love these movies because profanity and gore, it just is not my thing. Like I said, I originally went in to see this movie just to see if Justin Long had been able to land another movie that would be like a hidden gem the way Barbarian was for me. I just enjoyed that movie so much. And it's one of those movies, you might not think much of Barbarian, but it just landed just so with me that it's like one of those movies that reminded me of what's possible with cinema and how you can tell a story where with just a handful of actors, 5 or 6 actors, you can tell a story that actually defies convention and like throws a curveball or two and does something a little bit different. And I just appreciate it for that. And I thought maybe Justin Long had done something like that again. Then again, I don't really know. I went into this movie cold, and I ended up with a gory vampire movie, man. I kid you not. I'm glad I watched the film, and as I think more about movies that I would like to see at the theater, I've been thinking, you know what? I think I would like to go ahead and see more movies at the theater that I would be willing to watch and not say, well, I'll catch it later, unless it is something that I'm explicitly, deliberately avoiding in the theater because I don't want to support Disney or something like that. But take, for instance, the Bone Temple. 28 years later, I think I'm going to break down and go ahead and see that movie while it's in the theater instead of coming back to it later. Just to go ahead and do it and make a review of it while it's more relevant and everything. And maybe I'll watch Mercy coming out this next weekend. You know, things like that. I'm glad I caught this movie because it would have been one that I'd be like, I wish I had seen that, because if I'm at all curious about it, I want to go ahead and see the movie in the movie theater if I possibly can, which is hard because I only am home for a day or so on the weekends, and it's hard to see any movie anyway, and it's something I enjoy doing very much. But I'm not curious about a lot of movies, and so when I am curious about a movie, like for instance Night Patrol, I want to go ahead and see it. And I'm glad I caught the flick. It was memorable, and again, I keep thinking about that ending, because that ending for me, the way it ties with the beginning scene and the ending scene, and you have that captain, I keep calling him a captain because I think he had captain bars on his, like captain rank on his shoulder, on his collar, brass, and he's like, it's like they portray him as like the Uncle Tom type character, like he's sold out, he's down with the man, he's elevated and outside of his people now because he goes along, he's going up the chain of command in the police force, and he don't want to have anything to do. He says, I'm just going to throw you to the wolves, boy, and be done with you. But then our protagonist, because he's made the hero's journey, he can now fend for himself with his lightsaber crystal dagger that can make vampires pop like a balloon. So yeah, I just wanted to come back on here and say that there's a grittiness to this movie. I do still consider it like a B movie, you know, not a huge budget, not a huge marketing, not at all. It's just gonna be it came and it went movie. But I'm glad I caught it just because I was curious about it. And just to ask you, maybe you can put in the comments, if you've seen this movie, in particular at the movie theater, if you catch it, or whenever you might watch it, if you've watched Night Patrol, did you notice the grittiness of like the film grain itself, or was this filmed digitally? Or because it seems like there was like a haze, like not full-on blurriness. For instance, I'm thinking of the scene when they're walking down the hall at the end and things like that. And other times in the movie where it's like, man, this seems kind of grainy. The way the picture is coming across on the screen. Again, not blurry, but maybe almost in a couple of those scenes, like when they're in the well-lit white walls of that hallway, and the way everything just kind of had like I don't know, I keep wanting to call it like film grain, however they might have filmed this thing. Just ask you, did you happen to notice that when you watched Night Patrol? And maybe just to comment once more on the protagonist's mother, and she was, I've said she was quite a character. Well, yeah, it was crazy how intense she was at certain points in the film. For instance, when she shoots the cop who came along as the partner of her son, who was a police officer who died because he was trying to have a career in the police force. But again, in the movie, with the themes that they're playing with in the movie, it comes off as like he sold out to the white man, and so he's trying to survive from inside of the system, whether or not he's trying to change it for the better from the inside or not. This movie is about vampires, and he's literally killed by the guy who he kind of looked up to, who had been his mentor for a time, driving around with him, running down people in that sequence of, you know, arresting people, pulling people over, and responding to calls and whatnot for 3 months. And then in the end, Justin Long becomes a vampire and ultimately submits. After he fights it, he can't fight it any longer. He submits, and he has to become one with his white man vampire identity or whatever. It's like they went so hard with these themes, man. It's awful. It's so horrible. Sinners couldn't have done Sinners, because it was more of a prestige picture. It couldn't have gone as hard as Night Patrol did, as far as the the colonial white man police keeping us down and all that. I mean, they've said, I mean, I've said Sinners was more like a black historical drama that was rather beautiful as it kind of came together, despite the twins' raunchy, corrupt lifestyle of wanting to run and gun and all that, if they had to have their saloon and basically be an underground type of arrangement. The surrounding stories in that movie, as they're driving along, saying what's happened to each other growing up in the South and all that, it was a well done and like cinematically good looking stuff. And then the movie is kind of very inconveniently interrupted by a vampire movie. I kid you not. That's the way I think of Sinners. It's like, okay, we got this like black historical drama, then it gets hijacked by a horror movie where this vampire comes out of nowhere and just totally upends everything. Anyways, but the themes that they were dealing with in Sinners is very similar to me as what was some of the stuff going on in Night Patrol. But Night Patrol just went so hard with all this stuff. And the gore, oh my goodness. You didn't see the young woman who was executed in cold blood at the beginning. You didn't see her dismembered or whatever, like a mannequin, like her torso is all that's left. That comes a little bit later in the movie, and that's the one thing I had against this movie. The way it took a while for Night Patrol to really figure out what it wanted to tell me in the audience, as someone watching the movie, as the viewer. It's like, okay, this young man is he likes this young woman. Oh no, something terrible's just happened, and now it's like the cop's going to be after him. And then the way the cop just kind of went away when he saw the ring with that glowed like the Green Lantern ring. I'm like, okay, are we ever actually going to explain that? No, we're all the way at the end of the movie before that is finally given its due. And in the meantime, I was like, man, what's going on here? The whole build up. I just, you know what? Maybe it's just a matter of editing. I think that's what it is. It's a matter of editing and the sequence in which different scenes came into play. And that maybe if that had been done a little bit better, the movie would have flowed better and had a better pacing. So yeah, I guess that's my basic gripe against, if I have any gripes against Night Patrol, I guess that would be it. It took a minute to even get going. But again, that ending was good for a movie that was hit and miss throughout, and you're like, man, this is getting long on the tooth, and how are we going to overcome these odds, and we're dying here, and the cops are the ones who are doing it to us. How are we going to survive? For the movie to end the way it ended, you know that he lived, and you know that he overcame in the end, because he finally had what he needed to take care of himself and end these demons. Okay, I guess I've said enough now, folks. I think I'm satisfied. So thank you for listening to me for just a little while longer talk about Night Patrol. I do appreciate it. Till next time.